There is an interesting chat, which is that apparently at the 25 election there was some new level of abuse that was happening. While people were going into polling stations, we're talking about the pre-poll as well as on the day. And apparently the Labor Party wants stronger rules around polling booths after reports of aggressive and intimidating behaviour towards volunteers and voters during that election. The party says that the current 6-metre exclusion zone isn't enough because intimidation and obstruction often happens outside of that boundary. Labor wants a new campaigning zone. I like this idea, but I'm going to go even one further here, Daniel. I think there should only be 2 representatives of every candidate at a polling booth. That's it, right? And 100 metres that way and 100 metres that way. No third-party groups. So you can't have the unions who count as third-party groups. You can't have, mass teal volunteers because reality is if you want to get to how to vote, great, you walk up and get it. Other than that, you can inform yourself and you can go on a website and you can print one off. What do you think?
Well, I've got to say, I was a Liberal candidate who ran in a dead red seat and there were union volunteers everywhere. So your idea actually sounds very enticing to someone like me, Paul. I've got to say I'd be a very big beneficiary of that. But that's right. But look, I do have a bit of a different perspective on this. I can say that 99.9% of interactions I had as a candidate were positive or neutral. I'm sure there's abuse that occurs. It's very few and far between. And usually it's those lefty types, the most progressives who preach love but practice hate. That was my experience in the abuse that I copped was very little, but it was from those more far left-wing type people. So I think most people do the right thing. I am a fan of people getting involved in democracy, I have to say, and I think more people who want to get out there. I know it's annoying. I know when you're trying to get to the booth and you're trying to vote, you just want to get past the annoying people that are trying to put something into your hand. But that is a part of democracy in my view. So I think that if Labor goes down this path, they are trying to basically cement an advantage that they have with the incumbency and the numbers that they've got. So I'm always very, very hesitant to support anything that's going to limit the ability of people to involve themselves in an election. So it's a no from me on this one.
Yeah, but obviously, David, from the perspective of the minor party, right, you obviously don't have the same manpower, person power, let's be, inclusive, people power to be able to man the booths. This is part of my issue about early voting, right, is that I think that certainly the restriction should be like one person per organisation for those 2 weeks earlier because just the endless running of the gauntlet and sort of trying to make it seem like one candidate has more support when the reality is that those volunteers could be coming from another state.
Well, this is true. Minor parties are definitely at a disadvantage during pre-poll because it's during working hours and most people in minor parties are volunteers. We're at a disadvantage, but I tend to agree with Daniel that I don't want to limit people's ability to participate in democracy, and I think that's a problem. There's one big difference between federal elections and Victorian elections, and maybe they should think about this in federal elections. In Victorian elections, the number of signs per candidate are limited, and I think that works really well so that you don't end up with ridiculous numbers of signs everywhere getting in everyone's way. You still have enough to do the job. Maybe they should think about that. But I agree with Daniel as well that most of my interactions I've had with people have been peaceful and totally fine. Like you get the odd interaction, which is bad, but like mostly it's good.